Welcome to Lanterns Live, the only Green Lantern streaming YouTube channel. I'm Ralph, and today I'm talking about Superman spoilers. Now, if you haven't seen the movie, I highly recommend you steer clear from this episode until you do. I'm going to put up the spoiler banner right now. There it is. And I'll be joined in a couple minutes, hopefully by Hector Navarro, who was having some technical stuff. That's what we were doing before I jumped on live. But yes, we will be talking in depth about Superman, James Gunn's movie. Going to talk about everything from Green Lantern constructs to Hawk Girl and Mr. Terrific and plot points and Metamorpho and Crypto and Baby Joey and everything about the movie from A to Z, or as much as we can. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. It looks like we already have some folks lining up. Shiny Plastic People is here. Hey, Chris, how's it going? I'm here. Going live in a second. That second has come and gone. We are now live. Kirk Francis, also here. Have to buy tickets. I'll be back after I see the movie. Hey, dude, go check it out. I think you'll like it. I really think you'll like. I think you'll like Guy Gardner. I really do. And there may be a little bit of Invincible in there, maybe. Stevie's here. Stevie says Crypto MVP. Probably. I have something to say about Crypto a little bit later. I was thinking about it last night, and it's really something I want to talk about. Which did you guys lose me? my headset just made beeping sounds, so hopefully you can still hear me and everything is good. Not the greatest of technical experiences today on StreamYard. And then Kirk says, good hat, by the way. Friend Chris from Boston gave me this hat at a Comic-Con a few years ago. Speaking of Comic-Con, there isn't officially any sort of Lanterns panel going on this year at Comic-Con, which is happening next week. I'll be in town for one day at the annual Lost panel. So I'll just be there on Thursday. I'm going to get back here because I think there's an HBO Max DC panel happening on Friday. So I might be sitting here live watching a stream, hopefully, of a DC HBO Max panel because I want Lantern stuff. But there's plenty of stuff to talk about here. Let's get him in here. We'll see how he looks. He looks great. In my backstage from Heroes Reforged, Dark Souls podcast, Nerdist, DC Daily, and the feature-length documentary, Getting Lost. Here's Hector. I'm not picking up. So I don't know if it's my headset. I'm not hearing you. I know my headset glitched while you were gone. So just if you want to vamp for a little bit, I'll check my earpiece now. Let's see. Oh, yeah. If someone in the chat could let me know if they can hear Hector, that would be great. Because I'm not getting anything. We hear Ralph. We don't hear Hector. So that's fine. I'm good at lip reading. I guess for Hector, if you just keep on chatting away, maybe if you want to do like recite the oath or something, I'll let you know when your audio pops in. But yeah, I'm not hearing you. I wonder if it's something I could set. Let me see here. This of course, Hector, we still can't hear you, but this is the first time on Lanterns Live that there's been this kind of audio glitch. And the last time I talked to you on a live stream, we had a whole meltdown for like 15 minutes. You're like Alan Grant from Jurassic Park. but we're still not hearing you. Um, yeah, I honestly don't know. I've been doing live streaming for about 3 or 4 years now, and this is the first time I'm picking up any sort of thing like this. If you want to maybe bounce out again, Hector, and give it another shot, that might work. Because I'm just getting a pop of static every couple seconds. So yeah, I'm not sure because I can't adjust your settings, which is really strange. This whole thing is strange. Still not hearing you. If you want to bounce, go ahead and bounce. We'll give it another shot. I'll keep chatting because they can hear me, and I'll just do a little more chatting about next week's Comic-Con, and then yeah. So we'll get through this. It is a live show. Usually goes a lot smoother. I don't think it's Hector's fault. I don't at all. But so next week's Comic-Con, I won't be in attendance for any sort of DC thing. I'll just be in town for the one show, the Getting Lost panel the Lost panel that I'll be on. And then hopefully we haven't heard any news about Lantern specifically. I know there is a DC panel with James Gunn. I'm hoping for, at minimum, a Lanterns logo reveal. Maybe a still shot of either the costume or close-up of a power battery or something. I'm really hoping that we get some sort of Lantern news. Now, if DC is doing a live stream, I'm going to try to get on and do a live reaction to that stream, and hopefully we'll get some news. And then we have in August, Peacemaker Season 2 is coming out. Now, we know Guy Gardner's in that. I don't know the capacity that Guy Gardner is going to be in it. So what I suggest is everybody who's subscribed, hit the bell icon, get notified when I go live, because if Green Lantern shows up in one of the 8 episodes of Peacemaker, I'll be doing a live stream on that episode. So I don't think I'm going to cover all of Peacemaker unless Green Lantern's involved. Because again, I want this channel to be just Green Lantern-centric, a place for Green Lantern fans to come together and chat about Green Lantern and talk about stuff like that. Now, I'm trying to think of some other stuff that is going on. Some news this week through Twitter. Through Twitter, there was a post that was taken from Instagram, which the Instagram post has since been taken down. But essentially, it was 2 photos, one with a woman with Aaron Pierre and another one with a different woman with Kyle Chandler. And apparently they were at the wrap party for Lanterns, which means that if that's true, I don't know, those posts got taken down, which could be telling, could be not. It means Green Lantern's wrapped and they're done shooting the show. So like they've got plenty of stuff to show at Comic-Con if that's the case. Green Lantern or Lanterns comes out early in 2025. It comes out, let's see here. They just said early, so I'm assuming the first quarter. So January, February, March, April, somewhere around there. So hopefully we'll start getting some stuff coming soon, and I'll definitely be there to cover it. And when the show comes out, I'll be covering each episode the following morning at like 9 a.m. I'm going to be covering Lanterns like as soon as possible. I don't want to stay up late because when it comes to HBO, usually that means like a Sunday show, like at like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. And based on Nathan Fillion saying that he's just like dropping like the most F-bombs he's dropped on a series, in this series, more than his entire career put together. Like it's going to be rated mature TVMA, and so I don't see them putting that on at 8 o'clock on Sundays. I think it'll be on at 9 or 10 on Sundays. And so what I'll do is the following morning cover those episodes. We got a Supergirl poster today. That's fine. It's not Green Lantern related, but it was still cool. If you have the chance, head over to like DC on Blue Sky or Instagram and check out that poster. It has Supergirl leaning up against the wall, and it says "Look up" with the up scratched out in spray paint, and then it says "out," so it says "Look out," which is really, really fun. She's drinking this. She's drinking out of a big tumbler with a straw, which reminds me of the Shazam teaser poster, which he was doing the same thing. So if they're going for like that kind of tone, like kind of a kickback tone with Supergirl, that's going to be a lot of fun. Jason Momoa as Lobo should be fun in theory. I'm a little apprehensive about that because I feel like Jason Momoa is perfect casting for Lobo. Like he's perfect. He will be the perfect Lobo. My only issue is that for years we said that Rock would be the perfect Black Adam, and I felt like his performance was lacking. It was nothing but brooding, and let's see. How you doing, dude? Yeah, I still don't hear you. I could see the frustration. I don't know. Do you want to just try to use like a condenser? Do you think it's the microphone? Do you want to try just like a condenser mic? He can't figure it out. Can't figure it out. It's so funny. I wish there was something I could do on my end. Maybe if you. Oh, I was going to say maybe if he nodded his thoughts on The Rock as Black Adam. I feel so bad for him. Like I have no idea why he's lost audio, because before he came on, before we started the stream, I could only hear him, but I couldn't see him. So I'm wondering if we can do that. I don't know. But for me, yeah, Stevie says live streams, y'all, this is nuts because this has never happened to this extent ever on a live stream. And I feel like, man, I wonder if it's something on my end, but I really don't know. I honestly don't know. Let's give it another shot. He seems more confident.
I seem more confident.
There you go.
At work? Okay, good.
You're perfect.
Jeez, dude. 18 minutes in. Oh, my God.
13.
Sorry, everybody. Okay, 13. Great. We'll made it. Hey.
So,
oh, boy.
Was it something dumb?
No, yes, it was. And I always get so frustrated with this. The dumb thing was like Chrome didn't have permissions to access my microphone. My microphone was working, but Chrome didn't. And I'm in StreamYard on Chrome. And so I had to go into Chrome and like reset the settings, even though I thought I had selected the correct microphone. And of course, with this microphone, you do the drop down and there's like 4 versions of the same microphone. And you're like, well, which one is it? So I was like clicking. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. I'm glad you're here.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ralph. I really appreciate it.
Was there anything you heard while I was vamping
Yes.
anything you want to like pop in and mention? Did you hear me talk about like Lobo?
No, I heard you say, you're like, why don't you give us your thoughts on Dwayne Johnson as Black Adam? And then I dipped out.
I was looking for a nod or a head shake. Because here's the thing, Lobo, there's a lot of Lobo talk on my channel because Jason Momoa, like James Gunn was talking about when he got the gig, Jason Momoa reached out to him and said, Lobo, baby.
Lobo,
So I'm excited because it's like perfect casting and I've been waiting for years. But I'm apprehensive because it's been so long where it's like building up. Like I can't wait to see it. That I feel like that's what happened with Black Adam.
No, I'll try to squash that right now. I think it's very different, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I think that James Gunn as a director and as a person who's like either has input or has final say, I'm never really quite sure how that works with like a director making a movie like this and then the casting department and then who the studio casts and who has final say with what. I think it's supposed to be the director, right? But a casting department or like the head of casting or a casting director will be like the head of a casting department. like Sarah Haley Finn at Marvel Studios, and her, and she has like a whole company. Like she and her company are brilliant at casting. They have an amazing track record, right? But I think there is also elements of like a director will go, well, what about this actor? And then the casting sort of reaches out to them. But there's a lot of cases where the casting will find people, show them to the director, and they go, that's perfect. I think that's what happened with James Gunn and Guardians of the Galaxy. It was between Chris Pratt and that dude Glenn Howerton from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and maybe a couple other people. And I think those people were like, here's the casting department saying it should be one of these actors. Here's the casting department has Jason Momoa in the mix and Dave Bautista for Drax. And then like James Gunn was saying, recently too, Marvel Studios didn't want to hire Dave Bautista. They wanted somebody else, maybe Jason Momoa, whatever, right? For like various reasons. And James Gunn as a director would have to fight and go, no, I think that actor is best for that role. And then he just said the same thing about Superman and Lex Luthor. He's been on the press tour saying like, jokingly saying Nicholas Hoult is a better actor than David Corenswet, but David is perfect to play Superman and Nicholas Hoult is perfect to play Lex Luthor. So I think that James Gunn really understands the importance of casting when it comes to characters like this versus I'll throw this name out there. I think that Christopher Nolan is a director more interested in like working with great actors versus like he's not getting a script and his job isn't like, oh, well, I have to adapt to the Odyssey or I have to adapt. He's like, I want to make a right. He's like, I want to make a film first, and I want to work with actors that are just like phenomenal, and whatever lines we give them, they'll knock it out of the park.
Right.
I just saw the little teaser trailer for the Odyssey, and you got John Bernthal basically acting like John Bernthal, and I'm like, he doesn't feel like he's in that time period, but that doesn't matter. Christopher Nolan is getting him, and he's a phenomenal actor, and we'll go from there. So I think James Gunn understands better than the previous decision makers, the previous directors like Zack Snyder, whoever the casting people were, that decided Momoa should be Aquaman. That wasn't coming from a place of we are authentically adapting this character. That was coming from a place of it's a little bit of a stunt cast, and it's a little bit of a we want to make Aquaman badass. Versus I think James Gunn, and I hope he doesn't necessarily revert and just cast like a dorky white dude with blonde hair and blue eyes to be Aquaman going forward. I like that it was a Pacific Islander like human. I like that take on Arthur Curry to make him like mixed race, and like I think I just like that better. But I do think that James Gunn knows that like the character of Aquaman isn't necessarily Momoa. Momoa just sort of made it his own, whereas Lobo, Jason Momoa is Lobo walking around in his everyday.
Perfect.
It's Lobo. So I think it's totally okay for you to be very excited about that and lead up to that. And you were saying, what was the other example too? You were like, I felt the same way about. I was trying to like squash that comparison.
It was one of those things where it's like for years I'm like, The Rock should play Black Adam.
Oh no, let's talk about that for a second.
Okay.
That I think is not Dwayne Johnson or any of his people in his team or anybody at Warner Brothers or New Line or whoever had the rights to Black Adam. I do not think that is them looking at the comic books and looking at the character of Black Adam and going, oh, this actor is just the embodiment of Teth Adam walking around. No. That's The Rock looking at that and going, well, this will be my franchise movie. This will be my superhero character that I can
And he was producer on it.
Exactly. So I feel like there's a lot of visual similarities between Black Adam and Dwayne Johnson, but it was also like I don't think that he took on that role and tried to like, if you read Black Adam in the comic books, he's very, I don't know how to describe him. Like he feels like he is well, first of all, I read him like with an accent, like he has some kind of Middle Eastern accent. And I know that, there's cheats in movies and like Tom Cruise didn't do a German accent in Valkyrie. Okay, I get it. But there's still an element of like Dwayne Johnson didn't even try. Like he could have tried and just not had a great accent or sort of, but he just like, is just the most American sounding guy from the get. So I don't think that, and then I think Dwayne Johnson honestly would have been a better Shazam. And for years he was like asking his fans, which one should I be of the two? Which one should I be? And I think most of his fans, they're guys and they're adolescent going into adulthood, and so they're like, Black Adam's more badass, be that.
Yeah.
Right? Versus telling Dwayne Johnson, like, we want you to be in a movie like Big. We want you to be a kid character
Right.
like Big. His fans are not going to be clamoring for that. They want him to be badass like his wrestling persona. So I think he would have made a better Shazam because I think he's very funny and he would have been charming. And I frankly think he would have attempted that role more like Tom Hanks in Big and less like, I think Zachary Levi did Shazam. Like he got dumber when he turned into Shazam. And so his Shazam was dumb, slurred a little bit, and acted like a man-child versus like, when Tom Hanks is in Big, I think his performance is he's trying to act like the kid in an adult body. I think Dwayne Johnson would have done that.
Was it Asher Angel was Billy?
Yes.
Like he definitely seemed more mature.
Different character.
I really like the Shazam movie.
Yeah.
I think what it was, it also came during a time in the DCEU where I was clamoring for something. It's back in the 90s. So I have a lot of Mike Allred art up. I love Madman. And that was one of those things in the 90s when everybody had, 20-foot long guns and 20-pound swords and like all these giant weapons. And you have Stephen Platt with these pages with just bullet casings flying everywhere, and McFarlane with all these chains on Spawn and just everything getting more and more detailed. I gravitated towards Mike Allred's Madman because it looked like Silver Age, and that's what I want in my comic books. And so at the time, like Shazam was like a breath of fresh air. David Sandberg was like, he just brought so much joy to that movie, and it had a lot of heart. And when that's sandwiched in between like Justice League and Batman v Superman and stuff, it was really, really, it was really like, just for me, just like the biggest breath of fresh air.
Have you, Ralph, let yourself think about the future of some of this stuff and like in this new iteration cinematically?
I don't ever take notes for this show.
Okay.
It's always just a conversation.
Oh, got it.
But I did this time, and that's in my notes, which is the future of Superman. And I definitely want to talk to that. But here's the thing, Hector. This is a Green Lantern podcast.
Yeah.
And the first thing I ask any new guest is their secret origin with the character Green Lantern.
Oh.
Like when's the first time you remember like kind of like being introduced to the character? Or like what's your oldest memory of Green Lantern in general?
It's probably reruns of the Super Friends. It's got to be.
Yeah, you're in the same boat as me.
Right?
Except I think I was watching them while they were on the air.
Okay. Well,
maybe.
I was born in 87, but I think
I'm 10 years older than you.
Yeah, so I didn't get a you may have seen them sort of first run or in syndication or whatever. I think I got more of the Super Friends when it was like reruns on Cartoon Network or other places, whatever it was. I think then when I started to get old enough to like read comic books, because there was no Green Lantern in like Batman the Animated Series, and we didn't get that until Batman Beyond, which was 99. Right. So I think
the Superman animated series.
That's true.
Had
Kyle Rayner. So that must have been 96 or 97 or 98, somewhere in there. So even before that, though, I remember learning about Green Lantern in comic books, maybe from, this is kind of pre-internet, and early internet days, but like the DC reference books that I would find in the library that was like the history of DC Comics. And then you read that and you go, oh, here's the Green Lantern character. And then you kind of get like a brief history of, and then Hal Jordan paved the way to like, Guy Gardner was the successor, but also John Stewart. And then just a couple of years before that was Parallax, and then Hal's gone, and now it's Kyle Rayner. Yeah. And I remember reading comics in the 90s that had Kyle Rayner and learning that he was the cartoonist. And I was like, this is great. And I think by that point I had known about Kyle before the Superman episode aired. So I was already like on board. So that's kind of my origin story with Kyle and the whole concept and Hal and everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat. I mean, Super Friends picked up Green Lantern issue 1 in 1990.
Wow.
I liked it. So I was on a spinner rack in like a liquor store. We were doing a family trip up in, it was a Green Lantern. It was the one that came out in 1990. It was like volume 3, I think. It wasn't actually like the first.
But it was issue number 1.
And it was issue number 1. The cover has
Wow.
John Stewart. I'm John Stewart.
Hal and Guy.
Hal and Guy. We don't talk about the writer of that series.
Okay.
If you don't know,
Sure.
look it up later.
Yeah, for sure.
Has gone to jail for certain things on his hard drive.
Great.
Don't talk about
Awesome.
that series. In fact, I think Comixology pulled all of his issues down.
Wow.
I already owned them all except for issue 13, and now I can't get that to read it.
Wow.
Bad news, which sucks
Sure.
because Broderick did great artwork in that, and I wish that he would get his due. But
Sure.
so anyway, I started reading it then, and God, I'm not someone who sort of relates to being a jet pilot or an architect, marine, or whatever origins Guy has at the time.
Yeah.
But I gravitated towards Kyle because at the time I was in high school and I used to draw comic book characters, and then all of a sudden I'm reading a comic with this guy who's drawing comic book characters, and so I'm like, that's my dude, that guy right there. So
what else is in your notes? Let's go through it, Ralph. Everything
okay,
you got.
so my first notes is this: Guy Gardner's constructs in the Superman movie. I have, and I might have missed one. So if you're in the chat, let me know if I missed one.
Okay.
A megaphone, a muzzle, oven mitts, an eye poker, tinted windows, baseball bat, a cube, and hands. So I think that's all the constructs we see in the movie. Do you have a favorite of all of those? Of the constructs that...
Those middle finger hands were great, dude. As they were launching the tanks, that was pretty great. I love those.
It's pretty good. I'm kind of like partial to the eye poker. The thing that clamps on. It was so gross, and they get a great reaction shot of the crowd looking up at this thing. By the way, the crowd, run away. Don't look at the...
I know.
But, so that's all I have for that. I wanted to talk about the movie in general. I know you like it. I've been following your interview with James Gunn and the cast and crew of, or I guess the cast of Superman that you did on Nerdist. Fingers crossed for your 3D.
Yeah, we'll see.
Man of Steel book.
Probably not. Yeah.
Does Warner Brothers still do it? Are they still?
I don't know. I think the last one was Dune Part 1 from 2021. Maybe something more recent, but I don't know. I know there's other companies that are doing it. So even if they like license out the film to another company for them to, I just don't understand why that stuff is allowed to be in the theaters and then it disappears.
Right.
Like, and I know that, like James Gunn said, like, well, the Blu-ray market, like, it doesn't really exist anymore. And I'm like, yeah, but it does. Like, there are people who will do it. So why not have some kind of a, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
They put so much work into 3D conversion to just have it be out in theaters for like a month tops.
Yeah. And I saw Superman in 3D, and it's really good. It's really fun in 3D. Like, it's the only way I want to watch the movie. So I'm really hoping that that in some form it comes out. But if not, then maybe somebody watching that video who works at Warner Brothers can make the call and make the decision or talk to somebody, or I don't know. Right. Like a couple years ago, they put out the first Jaws movie, the original Jaws, in 3D for a Labor Day weekend, and I went to go see it, and my girlfriend loved it. She was like, this is one of the best 3D movies I've ever seen, because it's Spielberg, and it's just an amazing movie. And for years, it was not released on Blu-ray in 3D, and like I have the whole setup, so I could easily, but they never put it out, to the point where we were at a party for something. And here in LA, as it happens, you'll run into people that you're like, oh, what do you do? And then you learn about it. And this person was like, oh, I work in Universal Studios, like post theatrical or physical media department. And I was like, you need to put out Jaws in 3D. Like, I was like bothering this person. They're like, oh, is it good? I'm like, it's incredible. And if you have an opportunity, you should at your job, go see it. If there's a theater on the lot at Universal that you can like, you have access to it, I don't have access to it, you should put it out. But then I saw that for the 50th anniversary this year, they're putting it back in theaters on a weekend in August. I need to get tickets for that, but I still haven't done it. But I'm going to go see it again, and it's the best. So I don't know. Maybe it'll happen, maybe not.
we had a 3D TV for a while. It
Yeah.
broke. And
Yeah.
so I just took all of my 3D DVDs or Blu-rays, and I
Yeah, you gave me some.
parceled them out to friends. Yeah,
Yeah.
those were I have 3 left where people are like, I don't need those.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they're just sitting here. Like I'm
Yeah.
just like, someone can enjoy these. Like that Metallica one, like I watched once.
Great.
But I mean, it's really good 3D.
Cool.
It's a really interesting thing. And Bolt, whatever with Bolt.
Yeah.
Not a great movie, but
what's funny is speaking of Superman, I just saw. It's funny you sent me the Disney movie Bolt in 3D, which I didn't have a copy of, and I was like, "Thanks so much, Ralph. Thank you so much." I know I should have already had a copy of it, but I didn't. And you sent it to me, and then like not 2 days later, I'm scrolling and I see an interview with David Corenswet, Superman actor, and somebody asked him, "What's something that like inspires you?" And then he talked about the movie Bolt.
Are you kidding
And I was
me?
like, this makes me want to rewatch the movie Bolt immediately. He goes,
There you go.
He goes, just the part in the story where like this dog doesn't know that he's on a TV show, but he acts bravely because he's trying to save somebody. I was like, that is great. So there you go. Full circle.
So speaking of David Corenswet and CG dogs,
Yeah.
there's something there is a talking point I have in this movie, and it's I feel like it's a little early to talk about it, but Crypto, amazing in the movie, and a line hit me last night. I put it in my notes because I'm like, I want to talk about this. There's a great scene with the interview with Lois and Clark.
Yep.
There's another scene where they're talking together, and there's a space imp, and in the back you see the baseball bat, and you see the Justice Gang fighting in it. Superman's just like, he's like, they're good. I went over there. They're good. I don't need to be there, which kind of squashes everybody who was pissed that there was shit going on outside the window in the original picture, the image.
I remember
where he's just putting on his boot.
Yeah,
and then, like James Gunn just knows how to manipulate and turn the screws and just be like, man, people were so mad. Why isn't Superman over there? Well, we find out a year later.
Yeah,
they got it.
Yeah.
But there's that secondary scene where they're having a conversation. It's a great conversation, and Superman's ready to leave, and Lois asks something to the effect of like, "It's just a dog."
Yeah.
And David Corenswet is amazing, and this is the whole what makes the whole movie for me is he says, "Yeah, but it's out there alone and scared."
Yeah.
And when he says that,
yeah,
you can tell he's not just talking about the dog. You can tell he's talking about his journey as Superman and trying to make all these decisions on his own and trying to make everybody survive and try to make the Earth good. And he has to be brave, but deep down, he is just like Crypto. He's a foster. And that's the whole point of the movie is that whole thing is he's out, he's alone and he's scared.
He can be there for Crypto in a way that probably nobody could be there for him when he was young and had superpowers other than his mom and dad, Jonathan and Martha. Like they were obviously there for him, but that's a really great point. And he also says to Lois too, he goes, yeah, and he's not a very good one, but he's out there and he's alone and he's probably scared.
Yeah.
And that was enough for him to turn himself in. And he I think in that scene, he also kind of knew that he would be okay because he's Superman. Right. So he's like, I'm just going to turn myself in. Maybe they'll take me to the facility or the place where they're holding Crypto. Like, that's why I'm turning myself in. But also everybody hates me and I want to kind of prove that, like, you know, I shouldn't be feared. So I'm going to willingly submit and turn myself in. But I also feel like he kind of is having that conversation with Lois where he's like, I don't know if I'll be okay.
Right.
And he's almost saying goodbye in a way because he's like, yeah, I'm just going to go. And who knows what they're going to do to me? Who knows if I'm going to be hurt or killed or whatever. But he does it because he needs to go save Crypto and he needs to sort of like see this through. He needs to save this dog who is not even his dog, but we learn whose dog it is. But I think in that moment too, Lois, they're sort of apologizing to each other from the previous scene. He feels really bad about it. And then so does she. And she's like, she goes, well, this is how I am and this is how you are. And I think for her, because, you know, James Gunn talked about how like these two characters are 3 months into dating, but 3 years into knowing each other. Like Clark knew Lois for years before they started dating. And I think James Gunn has said they're both kind of figuring out how they feel about each other. But I think it's just Lois who's figuring it out. Because I think Superman is such a big-hearted idiot that he's kind of like, I loved you from the moment I met you type of guy. Mm-hmm. I think there's a side of that is very romantic. I don't think it's supposed to be like, he's so naive, he doesn't know what he's doing. But it's in that scene, too, like they hug and he goes, that's when he tells her he loves her, right? And then he says, I probably should have told you that a long time ago. Now, they'd only been dating for 3 months. So which means that kind of like Jim and Pam, like they kind of have loved each other for longer than they started dating. And in that scene, Lois is like kind of looking him up and down and thinking about him. And she's going, God, man, this guy is so good. And I think she has already fallen in love with him for it. Yeah. And she goes, she kind of sums it up and she goes, you think that everybody that you've met is beautiful. And it's really sad because that line going into like where Superman is going to end up going and what happens to him and what he sees that Lex Luthor does, it hits even harder because it's like even that person who just worked in that food cart to Superman is beautiful.
Dude, Mally.
Right?
Dude.
Right?
Like the only death in the movie, I think.
Yes. And it's so impactful. And I think that Superman is just so like matter-of-factly sort of like, I'm going to go try to save Krypto. I don't know what's going to happen to me. Oh, the Justice Gang, they got it with the imp. It's okay. Yeah, but, I might get hurt. But like you're saying, Ralph, Krypto's out there and he's alone and I can do something to help him the way that he didn't have anybody in the community really to help him, because I think they're going to reveal what we already know, which is like, Kara Zor-El, Supergirl, did not come into Superman's life until recently, right? I think that's the implication that like she was not there with Clark when he was growing up. But anyway, it's when he says, "I love you, Lois. I probably should have told you a long time ago." It catches her off guard, and it's not till the end the resolution of that where she was like, "Well, I love you too," and it's such a great payoff. And the way he smiles when he hears that, he's like, "Hey," like it's so great. But anyway. That's a great scene. I think it hit me harder the second time I watched the movie as well. A lot of good stuff in that scene. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah. It's one of those things where also like I love Silver Age Green Lantern. I love Carol Ferris, but there's a love triangle in Silver Age Green Lantern where it's Hal is in love with Carol, Carol's in love with Green Lantern, and it's not healthy.
Right.
Hal does stuff as Green Lantern where you kind of nudges Carol towards Hal Jordan instead of Green Lantern. Yep. In this, I like that Lois treats Superman differently than Clark. The interview is a scathing interview. It's not a fluff piece about Superman, and she's getting off her chest like stuff that he's done. And so it's kind of nice, and it's like Clark is having trouble handling that. His dual identity, because like as Superman, he's getting frustrated by the questions, and that's seeping into Clark's frustration. And it's like Clark's constantly dealing with these two personalities of Superman and Clark. It's two different people, and it's like not until you get to like my favorite scene, and I this movie, I love the runtime of this movie, and I love that it hits the ground running. It's so dense, but I kind of wish that the Smallville stuff was a little bit longer. Just seeing Lois in his room looking around at the stuff, seeing the Crabjoy poster, even though he like was like saying he's like kind of a fan, like he was like, he kind of dismissed him a little bit. He's like, some people like the Crabjoys. He would admit to himself, but she saw him for who he really was. And like the NASA pictures, he's so full of like awe and wonder. Yeah. And he's such a good, like, he says, "What the hey, Krypto," instead of like, "What the hell?" He says, I think one of the first words out of his mouth when he gets reignited by the sun at the very beginning is "golly." He's like,
he gets up and he's golly. Like, golly.
So he's such like a cornball. Like, he himself feels like a foster dog. That's like just happy to be alive and will go make friends with anybody.
He's got golden retriever energy. The other thing I love about that scene that I don't think I caught until the second time I saw it is that Lois is really looking at Jonathan and Martha like really freaking out about their son and being so tender with him and you know, rubbing his hair and touching him. It's, our boy gonna be okay. Well, don't worry about him. He's just a big old softy, you know.
What?
And I think that we don't know this, but I feel like the implication is Lois did not have that growing up. Lois had a hard ass military father, General Sam Lane. And I think even that's such a stark difference between Lois and Clark. Superpowers aside, it's like, oh, this guy comes from a very loving and very like physical touch love family. And I think that everything what you're saying, where Lois is really considering like, how do I feel about this guy? Is this just going to be like we hooked up for a couple months and, you know, yeah, I was dating Superman for a little bit, but now he's like a coworker or whatever. Or is this the guy? And I think that like learning who he is through that room and through his parents helps her realize sort of who he is and like what their future is going to be. I just like, he's just so lovable. It's hard not to love Clark. It's hard.
And what's great about the Kents is that they absolutely love him. There's a point at which Superman just gets the shit kicked out of him, and he gets his phone, and maybe it's Lois. Anyway, we see Superman's phone, and he has like 27 missed calls from Ma and Pa.
Yeah.
And it's like just planting those little seeds. It's so perfect. Like we don't get a ton with them, but we get enough to where at the end,
payoff.
When we say the payoff where he's like, oh, he likes to watch the recording of his parents, and it's them, and it's pure joy, and the music's going. Currently, in a tough situation with my mom right now. I haven't talked to my dad since I was 17, and now I'm kind of in that same position with my mom. It's like real shitty. But this movie, again, brought me hope as a kid who kind of, after my dad left, have like found family through like friends.
Totally.
Like a support group. Totally. And that's something that I think is super important. As much as people want to cry that this movie is woke, fucking whatever. The real thing that I hope people get from this is that you could be perfectly happy with a found family, that you don't
absolutely, like,
your parents could mess up.
Yeah.
And they're only human. In this case they aren't. But I had a question for you.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Jor-El? Let's talk about it. Yeah, that was a big twist where I was like,
it is,
man, we're getting into Omni-Man territory here.
Yes, and I think that what you just described is, I think, like the reasoning for it, and I think why I'm very much okay with it. I don't think that and kind of like looking in my inward at myself and thinking about like, okay, previous iterations of Superman, whether it was a Christopher Reeve movie where like his father Jor-El was Marlon Brando, or maybe my favorite version of Superman is the DC animated universe where like the Superman the animated series had the full first 20 minutes of Jor-El and Lara on Krypton. And Jor-El was sort of like this action character that was fighting Brainiac a little bit. And, you know, all of that stuff, I kept thinking about, I'm like, well, what's most important, Hector? And I think what you're describing is what's most important, Ralph, which is like Superman's parents are Jonathan and Martha Kent. And I think that any of the Jor-El and Lara stuff, on top of obviously just being the explanation for why this character has superpowers on Earth right now. Oh, he came from another planet and blah, blah, blah. You know, he's like an inverse of John Carter of Mars, you know, where John Carter has powers on that planet, which, you know, is a character first debuted in 1912. So there we go. That's right.
You hit all of them.
Hitting all of them. But I also think that like in each of those iterations, or like the Russell Crowe version in Man of Steel, they've always been very Jor-El heavy and not as much Lara, which I think is a little bit unfortunate. And I think that all of those roles for the Kryptonian parents have always been like putting a lot of kind of pressure on Kal-El and Clark Kent, and almost deciding his fate as Earth's greatest hero and protector before he even could decide, in a way. And so I think that remixing that and going, well, here's what Jor-El and Lara, who, remember, lots of versions of the Kryptonian parents also end up sort of like admitting like, well, Krypton failed and our time is done. And Jor-El would often be mad at the Kryptonian scientists or the leadership or whoever that like wasn't listening to him. So sometimes that would be in the message of like, here's where Krypton failed. We were super advanced, but here was our hubris. Here was our mistake, our flaw. So try to help Earth not do that. Goodbye, my son. So I think that that's just kind of an extension of this, where Jor-El and Lara are like, they're from a flawed society that blew up. But on top of that, they're like, go to a planet where it's very important for them to be, you know, you are the last son of Krypton. That's a very interesting term that Superman has been described as for our whole lives and more. So what if that term came from Jor-El, you are the last son? If a parent from a dying planet named their baby the last son of this planet, that's a weird, like, egotistical pressure. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it would be like if my parents who come from Mexico and then they met and got married and then had me in the United States, if they were raising me and they were like, you were the last son of Mexico and you must bring forward, you know, there's something to the Kryptonians being an analogy for like immigrant parents and having like a homeland and a home culture, because Clark Kent embraces a lot of Kryptonian culture, the technology, you know, every time he kind of learns about stuff, the Fortress of Solitude comes from that. And, you know, his clothing, his sort of traditional Kryptonian clothing is the excuse for the costume, blah, 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 blah. But to have that kind of pressure of a parent going, you're the last son of Krypton, to have in the movie, have Jor-El and Lara go, take as many wives as possible because we just want to see our bloodline continue. It is so weird. It's so egotistical. Right? It's really kind of toxic and messed up. So I think the more I've sat with it, I really appreciate that James Gunn leaned into that and kind of makes them on the surface sort of irredeemable parents. You're like, oh, that's gross, because it just makes Jonathan and Martha look better. Even when Jonathan goes, it's not for parents to tell what their kids what to do. It's not a parent's job. It's like such a beautiful, correct stance on parenthood. You know, we're just supposed to give you the tools to make fools of yourself, and it's your choices and all these great wisdoms. I also think that James Gunn got Bradley Cooper to do it because it's a seed planting to a potential future storyline where they're just going to have Jor-El. Oh, actually, Jor-El survived. Jor-El and Lara survived. I'll give you two examples. It happened in the comics in the past couple of years, past like 5 to 10 years. Where Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen was the reason for this happening. I don't think they're going to do that, but Dr. Manhattan was a stand-in for like the cynical evolution of comics. Watchmen made everything cynical and dark. Right after Watchmen came out, it just made all comics really dark, like Kyle Rayner's fridged girlfriend and all of the It's all kind of like what are superheroes doing? So apparently Dr. Manhattan was the reason for this. Jor-El survived, and then Jor-El, alive still, kind of becomes a grandfather to Lois and Clark's kid, John Kent, and becomes involved in these storylines and Action Comics, and then you go from there. This one is another one. I'll point this out to you right now because I didn't know about this. But
are you ready?
I just read this for the first time. I don't know if it's reversed and you can see it. This is the continuation, Superman 78, of the Christopher Reeve universe of Superman. Right? This is supposed to be Christopher Reeve, Margot Kidder, Gene Hackman. And this storyline has Brainiac, as you can see, who I think it's really fun. I think that they cast on purpose as the actor from Westworld.
Yul Brynner?
Yul Brynner was supposed to be like the Brainiac.
That's great.
Kind of can't really tell. Anyway, I thought it was really fun that they did. You can kind of see it here. Let me see if I can get a good shot of this. This is the kind of Yul Brynner Brainiac here. Hang on. Here we go. Here we go.
Do this.
Here we go. There we go. It's not focusing. You can kind of see the.
I could see it. I can make it out though.
Anyway, what happens in the story is it's revealed that Brainiac in this universe, as Krypton was exploding, went and captured Jor-El and Lara before they died. There's the Marlon Brando Jor-El and Lara, and they're getting like beamed up to a Brainiac ship. And then Brainiac, because he knew that Krypton was exploding, and Brainiac, as we know, like collects history of dead cultures or whatever. So then puts them in a bottle city called Kandor. So Kandor is on Brainiac's ship. Superman eventually frees it, when in fighting Brainiac, and then Superman, or he's like shrunken down, but he literally meets the Marlon Brando Jor-El, and then he like they put him in the sort of traditional Kryptonian. Here's Superman wearing like the Kryptonian 70s thing, but it's a great adventure. He saves the day. He kind of now has his mom and dad alive. He can't unshrink them, but at the end he puts them in the bottle city of Kandor in the Fortress of Solitude. Now, in that story though, there was a little bit of the Christopher Reeve like Clark Kent kind of challenging Jor-El and Lara. They're pretty perfect characters, but like they were resigned to their fate in this bottle city. And Superman was like, I can get us out. And he's like, no, Kal-El, you must stay, and you will, do this and do that. You should become a new member of the council. We have leadership here, and we will live our lives. And so I think that maybe James Gunn cast Bradley Cooper, and he goes, what if in this DCU they survive and this adult Superman, not just a hologram of Russell Crowe, but like gets to meet his flesh and blood parents and then challenges them.
That
right? If they're like, hey, did you take a harem? Do you have many children? And he's like, no, what the hell are you like that could be a future storyline.
It's basically Invincible confronting Omni-Man in season 2.
Omni-Man,
like it's
absolutely.
It's such a great story. I'm all for challenging parents.
Yeah.
Totally all for challenging parents.
For sure.
But I think it's funny because it's definitely been a major talking point since the movie's come out. And for me, other than the stories you just mentioned, Jor-El's out of the picture by the time Superman's like a day old. So it's like there's a lot you can do with that. I really didn't have a problem with this, and I think it's fine. And if it does lead to stories for the future,
could be cool.
That's great. Could be cool. Yeah. And I don't know if Bradley Cooper was like, hey, I don't really want to be tied to the DCU that much.
Maybe.
So give me a role where I'm just out.
Yeah, in and out.
So it could be that, or
do it in a day, or you like, can come back and you can have a meaty scene, a great dramatic scene where they're challenging each other. And I also bring this up because I'm like, I bet you there's a world where Superman, because this is the type of character he is that he's such a good person that he really causes change in the world around him through his example, through the inspiration. At the end, he says, I called in some friends. And I believe that he did, but like the movie's showing us like Hawk Girl seeing what's happening to the invasion of Jaranpur, this country, right? Hawk Girl seeing it. Guy Gardner's having some cereal. He sees it on the news. Like Metamorpho is watching it on the TV. These characters they heard what Clark, they saw what he did. They're hearing what like Lois Lane is saying. Mr. Terrific doesn't go just to save Superman just for the reason he does. I think he goes because they're friends. Mr. Terrific and Superman are friends. Yeah, they know each other. They're friends from work. So I think that Bradley Cooper, Jor-El, and the wife played by I forget the actress's name, but like the Laura character, there could be a scene where they hear Clark out and then they tell their son to his face, "You were right, we were wrong. We're just happy you're okay. We're just happy that you had good people that raised you. Like the Kryptonians, our idea of continuing this, you're right. We're wrong. We're wrong. It shouldn't have been the case. That could happen." And then, who knows?
One of the things that I liked about the movie, and you mentioned that, Superman and Mr. Terrific know each other, is we were getting a lot of characters in this movie, and everybody was concerned, like, how are you going to set up all these characters?
Yeah.
How is this going to happen? My favorite thing about this movie is they don't. There's not a single origin story to be had.
Yep.
And for me, I love that side of it because like, Mr. Terrific, you get all the information you need to know what this character is, what he stands for, and you get a sense the story doesn't get messed up because you don't know his origin. Mm-hmm. And what's great is that's how it is in the comics. I'll go and I'll pick up a random 7-issue run of some book because of the artist or the writer is now on board this book, and you pick it up, and like any DC comic, Mr. Terrific will be like just in a random like 2 frames in an issue of Green Lantern. Yeah. And like no
James
explanation.
James Gunn knows that.
So
that's how comics work.
Yeah. And so I love that he did it this way because it not only it keeps the story from being bogged down. But if you're a kid, if I'm a 10-year-old kid and I'm watching this movie and I see Mr. Terrific, I'm going, that guy's awesome.
Yep.
I need to know more about that guy.
Yep.
And I'm picking up his books.
Absolutely.
This is the greatest advertisement for every other DC property.
Yeah.
Because you can go watch Arrow, because there's a wonderful Mr. Terrific on that show.
Yeah, Echo Kellum, played by Echo Kellum. He's great.
It's amazing.
That's right.
And so it's like one of those things where it's just like, I mean, kids, the fact that the biggest movie in the world right now features Guy Gardner. Of all
great.
Lanterns, Guy Gardner. But what's perfect is you understand who Guy is right away. And you know he's an asshole. You could figure that out. You could tell that even the people in his own gang are like, kind of like, Guy, calm down. When Guy walks into Stag Industries building, the first thing out of his mouth is, "You have a secret harem?"
Yeah.
And it's like, that's Guy's brain. That's all he got out of all of that.
Yeah.
And what's great is, and James Gunn's so efficient with his time in this movie, it could probably use a little more time to breathe, but I do prefer shorter run times.
How many times have you seen the film at this
Twice.
point?
I've seen it twice.
Okay.
I saw it last Tuesday, and I saw it a Sunday. But
I liked the pacing and the runtime and everything. Second time I saw it, even more. And I have a feeling I'm going to appreciate everything more and more every time I watch the movie. I really love this movie, dude.
Yeah.
And I think it's because it does tap into everything you're saying about our love of DC Comics. I loved it when this movie came out and people that don't know comic books were like, yeah, but that Green Lantern character was so annoying. I'm like, yes, good.
There you got it.
Not every character can be badass, super cool, John Wick, Jesus, Batman, badass. Like, I'm like, but this is going to make Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart way cooler.
Dude, they're going to be so cool.
To compare to Guy Gardner. That's the point. You have to have variation in these characters. You have to have different personalities. You have to have, otherwise it's boring.
But what James Gunn did, and James Gunn writes assholes like so great. I know. Peter Quill and Rocket. And so perfect.
And
with Guy,
Peacemaker's another one. And going back to what you were saying too, like if there's anything that a storyteller would lose by jumping feet first into one of these DC stories, you can always do what James Gunn already did. He did the Suicide Squad movie, and then he went back and he goes, well, let's do a sequel story as a TV show. It's Peacemaker. Here's basically his origin. Anything that is dramatically interesting about the origin of Christopher Smith Peacemaker, he explored in that TV show. If James Gunn and DC Studios wanted to, we could do a Mr. Terrific TV show, and you could just go into Michael Holt's origin and his life and his backstory and why he's Mr. Terrific, and you could get a great story out of that. It doesn't need to
There's
all
rumors.
be... Yeah, absolutely. And
There's
I'm all
rumors
for it.
of a terrific TV show, which would be great.
It'd be awesome.
But I love the scene with Guy Gardner sitting there eating his Fruity Pebbles, watching the TV.
Yeah.
And that's Guy Gardner. He's just like, oh, I can't stay out of this fight.
Yep.
Guy Gardner, as much of an asshole as he is a Green Lantern for a reason.
Yeah,
and I love that he goes head first into the fray. Peacemaker season 2, I have some thoughts. I have some theories. I'm assuming that when we start Peacemaker season 2, now I've seen the trailers, so this is what I'm getting from the trailers, is we're following DCEU Peacemaker.
Okay.
And when he goes through the door, we see another Peacemaker behind a Peacemaker. We see two Chris's.
Yeah.
And I think one of them is the DCEU and one is the DCU.
Interesting.
And I think the DCU one is going to be single white female by the DCEU one. And that's the one that's going into the Justice Gang interview on this side of things.
Wow. Okay.
And I think the reason being, and I'm kind of hoping there's a joke in there, that Guy Gardner looks like TDK.
Right. Yeah.
so I think that's what's happening in Peacemaker. And I'm really excited about that. I mentioned it earlier. I'm not going to be covering the Peacemaker show unless Guy Gardner's in it. Okay. And then it's going to be boom, next day, surprise stream.
He is in it, right. We know he's going to be in it. So you'll cover that episode. You'll cover, okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah.
But so that's what I'm thinking is going on over there. I'm very excited. I don't know which Peacemaker we saw in in this movie.
Right. Yeah, the other thing about Peacemaker season 2 is, I think we knew this already beforehand because James Gunn said it somewhere. When I interviewed him for 5 minutes, he again said, because I was like, I was trying to get at that sort of comic book question of like, what era of the comics of DC are you the most familiar with? And I think we know it's the sort of like Bronze Age kind of 80s Justice League International area that he's, I think, the most comfortable with, which has a lot of Peacemaker stuff, and it's got anyway. But he said, he goes, oh, I know where I'm going with this, and he goes, I think people are really going to know once they see Peacemaker season 2. Like that's actually going to apparently map out or give us a clue for what this Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters DC Universe franchise is going to be. He said in another interview, I think, I'm trying to remember if it was with Ash Crossan or somebody else, but he was like, oh, I don't think that the way that Rocket Raccoon was sort of James Gunn's main character in his Marvel movies, he goes, people are going to be surprised when it's sort of revealed who the main character is for this DCU. And he was asked, oh, did we already meet this character? And he was like, yeah, we did. So people were automatically going, it's Jimmy Olsen, because Jimmy Olsen is the comic book that Jack Kirby was doing when he introduced Darkseid. People are already going, dude, we're going to get a Jimmy Olsen TV show, which has already just been announced, rumored that like they're considering it. And in the Jimmy Olsen TV show, this new sort of DCU Darkseid and the Fourth World and Apocalypse and all this stuff is going to show up in that, which would be bonkers, dude. That would be nuts. But I don't know if it's Jimmy. I don't know who the main character. I mean, it might be Supergirl. It might be. I don't think that the main character is going to be Peacemaker Christopher Smith. I don't know, but I mean,
do you have like? So James Gunn said that he's working on a project that he doesn't want to reveal yet because it's too easy to steal. Yeah, ideas. Any thoughts? I have an idea. But this is just me. Because I'm me.
What's yours?
My idea, because I think it's going to happen in Lanterns.
Okay.
Is I think we're going to get Blackest Night, and I think he's afraid that if he mentions Blackest Night, that Marvel can do a quick turnaround on Marvel Zombies.
Interesting. It could be. I could see that happening because Blackest Night definitely feels like an end game. And I mean that like as a comparison to Avengers Endgame. It definitely feels like this is a universe-wide crossover, versus the forces of Necron and Black Hand, and you're going to bring up the zombies of certain superhero characters, but they're not quite zombies the way we've seen before. There's so much potential there.
Dude,
it kind of involves the whole color spectrum. Like it's epic. Yeah. But I don't know if it was that. Because James Gunn has to know that they were already doing Marvel Zombies, just in the animated stuff, in What If, and that's already getting a TV show. So I'm like, but that's not the worst guess I've heard. Yeah,
I think something's happening. So here's a couple of things that I picked up. Nathan Fillion did a couple interviews. One was Perry over at Collider asked him a question.
Perry,
like, why would he? Like, I don't know if you saw the clip where it's like, why would your characters in the Justice Gang sign a contract with Lord? Maxwell Lord and Nathan Fillion's answer was for corporate sponsorship. How our guy wants money to build a bar.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
awesome. We're getting that. Oh, he knows.
So I'm like, okay. Are we getting that in Lanterns? Don't know. Would be awesome. And then another interview, Anthony Anderson, who's co-host or filling in for Jimmy Kimmel on Jimmy Kimmel Live, asked Nathan Fillion about the different colors of the spectrum. And the only two things that came in off the top of his head were Red Lanterns and Black Lanterns. Said they're rage. He's like, there's a bunch of them, but there's like a red one that's rage and a black one that's death, but it's not an emotion. And so I'm like, why those two popped into his head?
Well, here's the thing. Don't get too excited because Nathan Fillion, I do think he is a little bit of a comic book nerd. I do think that James could definitely be sending him stuff, but I also feel like Nathan, over the years we've known him, since he was in Firefly, since he's been a TV actor, I think he's probably had access to some stuff, sought some stuff out on his own, and read some stuff. So that's swimming around in there doesn't necessarily mean James just 2 weeks ago told him about the Red Lanterns and the Black Lanterns.
But I'm thinking about, is it in the Lantern show? Because what we know for a fact is that two Green Lanterns are sent to a small town in Nebraska to investigate a murder. And in the town, there's an influx of super powered people.
Interesting. Okay. And we know Sinestro's in the show.
We know
and
Sinestro.
We know, yeah.
There's a character name. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to remember because it sounds made up. But if you read the character description, it sounds like Atrocitus.
Sure. Cool.
It's an older gentleman. I looked him up. He's got a very deep voice.
Okay.
And then there's just like things like there's a character that's William Macon, and Jason Ritter's playing William Macon Jr. And I'm like, I don't know what Macon is.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's probably hand. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's pure speculation.
Sure.
But do like if the way he's hitting the ground running.
Yeah.
Like
it could be that stuff. I'll give you a couple of other ideas.
Okay.
I've heard. I think it may have been from folks at Nerdist. I'm trying to remember where, but somebody said, no, I think it was actually my pal DJ Wooldridge who said, I think the secret project is the Legion of Superheroes. And then maybe James Gunn was worried that like Marvel would steal the idea or do a copy, which is like the future superheroes 1,000 years from now. Maybe they would do Guardians of the Galaxy 1,000 years from now, which is kind of the original Guardians. But then again, James already introduced them, like Charlie 27 and Martin X and all those, and it was like Ving Rhames and Michelle Yeoh, all these amazing actors for that little quick cameo, like Starhawk with Sylvester Stallone. So I don't know if you could put them in 1,000 years in the future. I've also heard, I think I was having this conversation with friends of mine where they were like, what if the idea is a like animated hybrid type of a Spider-Verse type thing that DC can do? Now, we already know they're doing dynamic duo, which is like puppetry, which is such a crazy idea. So it's like, okay, James Gunn and DC Studios, and they've done Creature Commandos. They're not putting animation like off the table here, right? So what if their pitch has something to do with that then would maybe make Marvel or another studio? He didn't specify it was Marvel Studios that could steal the idea, but it could be Sony. It could be, any other movie studio that has some kind of an access to superhero characters or whatever, to do some kind of an animated live action hybrid thing. If whoever owns the rights to The Mask could maybe just be like, hey, let's put another Mask movie in production. If James Gunn is doing some like cartoony, whether his idea is like Plastic Man or I don't know, whatever the thing is.
Ben Schwartz.
I've definitely said it publicly that it should be Ben. I don't know.
So I've talked to Ben Schwartz about it.
Yeah.
I saw Ben Schwartz at a party.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to do was talk about Sonic the Hedgehog.
I know.
And he and I said, Invincible, Shapesmith. Is that Robert Kirkman? Is that Robert Kirkman stealing your idea to play Plastic Man? He's like, I don't know. It felt like an audition a little bit. Like he's like, I've been wanting it for a long time, and I'm like, maybe Mr. Terrific shows the Terrifics.
Yes, that could be it.
And I could see Ben Schwartz being on that show. Like that'd be so great.
The only thing about Plastic Man, I love Plastic Man, and I want Ben to do it. And I even asked Robert Kirkman the same thing when we had him on our YouTube channel podcast. I asked Robert, I'm like, thank you. I said, Robert, do you think this is going to help or hurt his chances of being Plastic Man in the DCU? And then Robert jokingly said, like, I'll take credit for that. If he ends up getting it, like, why not? Like, Shapesmith could have helped, But the only thing about Plastic Man that I need to have happen is that we were talking about how we don't need origins for these characters, and I agree for the most part. But my favorite thing about Plastic Man's origin is that when he's Eel O'Brien, is that he's a crook, a criminal who runs into Batman and gets his ass kicked. And then the accident happens and he becomes, rubberized as Plastic Man. But then in his shift to hero, eventually Batman vouches for him for like Justice League membership. So I want a movie or TV or whatever. So like if we jump right into the Terrifics and Plastic Man's just there, cool. But give me a flashback where, and I hope by that point, a Batman has been cast. They know which direction they're going in with the sort of new Bruce Wayne in the DCU. But I want a flashback where he is a guy in Gotham, gets his ass kicked by Batman. I just want to see that story, which I don't think has happened. Imagine if, out of all the times we've seen Batman movies, and there's guys in these Batman movies that are like, where is he? We can't see the bat. That one of those characters gets plucked and becomes a superhero. Like, I just think that's super cool. So that I want an origin. Everything else I can take it or leave it. But I'm really hoping that the DCU Batman, and I know they've been talking about Reacher. He played Hawk. Alan Ritchson.
Alan Ritchson.
Guy's too big.
But here's the thing. Here's
He's like
my
7'8".
That's
like
exactly
350 pounds. Too big.
That's exactly what I thought.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
his body shape is almost identical to Bruce Timm's
I know,
Batman
dude.
the Animated Series. So
I know.
like if you can
listen, I love him.
Get the mustard shirt. Like put him
How
in the
about
mustard
this?
shirt.
Let me give you another one.
Okay,
What if
I'm open for anything.
He's done motion capture before. What if he was Kilowog? How about that?
Oh, great.
Oh, great. Exactly. Yeah.
Perfect. Like here's the thing. I think
I love
Kilowog's
him,
in the show.
Oh, I hope so, dude. I really hope
there was a character that they were in the casting notes that said like
big
the last
dude.
Like big guy last surviving
cool
person from his planet, and
cool
is practically all they needed to say was trainer.
Exactly. Exactly. He trains the other Lantern. Yeah.
You know what my favorite Batman is?
What?
Matthew Fox's Racer X.
Great. That's a great Batman.
I wish back then, like the blue with the long,
the dark blue. We'll get that. With
the gray and even the yellow emblem. Like,
yeah,
I'm hoping that's what we get in.
There's a world where we get that. I think there's. So you have to. If you haven't let yourself think about what the future of some of these characters are, I'm really trying not to get myself too excited. But after seeing Superman, after seeing this James Gunn movie, I'm like, dude, whatever the new iterations are of Shazam and Black Adam are going to be amazing. Whatever the new iteration of Wonder Woman, Themyscira, Aquaman, I'm hoping is still amazing. But a Pacific Islander actor, like all the new versions, a new Flash. I think all these new versions are going to be. And you know that when we get the Flash, it's going to be Barry Allen. And then Barry is going to die in a movie, and it'll be Wally West will be like a younger actor, and he'll already be on the path to. I think, dude, we're getting Titans.
Maybe we
all
can
of
get
this is on the
something.
table.
Maybe we can get something where Peacemaker breaks the DCU by going through the doors.
Okay.
Because I'd love to see Blue Beetle come back into the.
Oh, that's
picture.
happening for sure. That's happening. Yeah.
I love that movie.
Yeah, me too.
Again, like as much as I like Man of Steel, I like Batman v Superman, the extended cut. I really like Justice League. Zack Snyder's Justice League. The regular Justice League was fine. But for me, like, I want joy.
I know.
And we're getting that.
I know.
And I'm fine with, the Batman. I love the Batman. And I'm looking forward to the Batman too. I brought it up with my friend, Mick, who just got nominated for music composition for the Penguin. Shout out to Mick.
Nice.
He's Emmy nominated.
That score was really good.
We were talking about
it was really good.
Yeah, we were talking about the Superman and stuff, and he was talking about, man, Robert Pattinson does not exist in this thing. I'm like, but what if Robert Pattinson left that one, but also played the blue and gray suit Batman in this one, like a completely different tone.
Sure.
It's like you've seen like Jack Kirby draw in different books, and the characters look the same. There's a continuity there. What if it just happens to look the same?
And listen,
people would lose their minds and not understand what's happening.
It's going to be John Cena is going to be that carry through casting. Xolo Maridueña, who plays Blue Beetle, I think is going to be a carry through casting, even if it's technically a new universe, whatever. And Viola Davis, you can't get a better Amanda Waller than Viola Davis. Like, keep her around for as long as she wants to do it. But I as much as I like Robert Pattinson's take, and I really like the Matt Reeves world that he set up, I think it is of a bygone era. I'm sorry to the fans. I'm sorry to this man. I think that movie is like a great successor to Christopher Nolan's Batman. I think we've left all that in the past, dude. I think we are squarely in the DCU, and I know that he's around the same age. He's actually not that much older than David Corenswet, who plays Superman. However, Robert Pattinson does have a baby face. I don't know if even if he played a new role, but it was still sort of Bruce Wayne Batman, I don't know if I could buy him being a father. And I think this new Batman is going to absolutely be mid-30s, early 40s, maybe mid-40s, maybe late 40s. An actor who's like has such a presence, looks great standing next to David Corenswet, but you look at him and you go, dude, this guy's been through some shit. Kind of like an Alan Richardson, truly. He's kind of a younger looking dude, but he's also like, he just looks so hardened, like he's been through it. But when you're going to look at this actor, I think people are going to look at him and go, this guy could have a 13-year-old son that he didn't know about until a couple of years ago. and I buy it. This guy could have had a ward and an adopted son that he trained for many years, who now went off and he's around college age and is doing his own thing. Could have had a second son who died, killed by the Joker in a crowbar, and now has a third son, kind of part-time on the weekends, Tim Drake. And now here comes this fourth kid who's his biological son, 13 years old. I think you need like not even the David Cornsweet Superman, who's like early 30s, looks like he could have a kid for a while. I know in real life he just had a baby. He has like a baby child. But I'm saying like him and Rachel Brosnahan, Lois, him and Clark, they need to go through a couple of movies before it's like, we got married, we had a baby, But a new Batman, I think, is going to come into the scene and you're going to go, whoa, this actor looks like not just a hunky guy who looks like he's 25 so he could play the role forever, but I think they're going to get like a 40-year-old actor or like a Robert Downey Jr. type who he first played Iron Man and he was like 38, 39.
Perfect casting.
Perfect casting. And now after playing that role for 10 years in his most recent appearance in Endgame, he had a 5-year-old daughter. And it was like there was never any question about Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark kind of living that story arc. So I think they're going to get an actor who can do that versus I think Pattinson is just really perfect casting for a young, childless, Robin-less Batman.
Right.
Just don't buy it. Like it's just for that type of David Fincher-esque story. And then when we close that chapter, we're going to get a new Batman that is going to have a little gray in his temples. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Who that would be.
I know, man. It's
when they cast, it'll be one of those things where it's like,
duh. I know.
Yeah. Because for me, when they announced Ben Affleck as Batman, I was stoked. I was like, man. I'm stoked. People were just shitting on it.
The only thing about Affleck and kind of I forgot what other actor I think you may have mentioned. Oh, Matthew Fox, like great actors. I think that they both have sort of, for being tall, big dudes, kind of have high voices. And I feel like, what would be great for a Batman, again, it's been a minute, is like a Kevin Conroy, rich-sounding, deeper-voiced, frankly, like David Cornsweet. He's 32 years old.
His voice is booming.
It's just...
He'd probably be able to pull off a great Batman.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think he's too nice. I think he's too smiley. I think he's too. Well, I think you kind of need an actor who's a little bit of a dick. You kind of need an actor who's a little bit of a, which is why like Michael Keaton, Ben Affleck, Christian Bale, they've all been great casting choices for Bruce Wayne. Because they have a little bit of that edge.
Someone on my YouTube channel today was saying how like when they heard about Nathan Fillion playing Guy Gardner, they were like pissed. They're like, this is stupid, and then saw the movie and was like. He's perfect. He's so perfect. And so for me, it's that thing of Heath Ledger. All the hate that Heath Ledger got before winning an Academy Award for his portrayal as the Joker. Same as Michael Keaton. Same as Ben Affleck. We're not in the casting rooms.
Yeah.
Even Pattinson.
Sure. I agree with that.
Got shit.
Oh, he's from Twilight. No, he's been doing a ton of indie movies for years, and he's a phenomenal actor. Yeah. I think, I especially when it comes to Batman, I mean, look at, for example, the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker that James Gunn did, just on the DC side. I think a lot of characters he remixed or changed to kind of fit actors that he loves. I'm thinking about like David DeSmalchin playing the Polka Dot Man. Polka Dot Man was a nothing character before that movie, like not important in really any way in DC Comics.
And a joke in the animated stuff. Absolutely.
But then, the way that he treated, like, I mean, she was already cast, but like Harley Quinn, Rick Flag Jr., some of the characters that I think or Amanda Waller, the way he treated those characters in Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, he knows that they're sort of a little bit more important in a way. And then when he's doing Superman, I feel like all of the characters in this film, he's treating them with a reverence and a respect, and he's like, I know how important these characters are from comic books, even the Daily Planet crew, even Jonathan and Martha Kent. Like I don't think he's truly like remixing any of these characters so much to kind of get them to fit an actor. Again, going back to the previous DC extended universe, the way they did it with Jason Momoa as Aquaman or Dwayne Johnson as Black Adam. They sort of they molded those characters to the actors, but I think James is doing the opposite. I think he's finding these actors that are so pitch perfect. So I'm not worried in the slightest about their team finding a new Wonder Woman, a new Batman. Dude, I'm so excited.
I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
And also he doesn't shy away from the costumes. I'm hoping to see Guy Gardner's Lantern costume in the show Lanterns. I think we will.
Here's a tricky thing, Ralph. This is a tricky thing. I don't know how like canon this is or how important it is, but I learned about the existence of this book, and I went and got it and I read it. It's a little kid book. This is called Superman, Welcome to Metropolis, and it says at the bottom, this is a prequel junior novel. Okay,
that's just my speed.
This is just my speed. I can read this book.
Yeah.
But this is like it's the story of how Superman first shows up to the Daily Planet. First shows up as Superman in Metropolis. It's supposed to be 3 years ago, right? To whenever the movie starts. And I'll give you a spoiler. Metallo is in this. Lex Luthor is in this. So there's some really cool stuff in here. But the Justice Gang are identical. It's Hawk Girl, Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner. And according to these little photos right in the middle of the book here, these little kid novels that always have these cute little pictures inside the middle of the book, the Justice Gang have their exact same Lord Tech costume. So I'm like, okay, how canon is this? Have these characters not changed their look for 3 years? They haven't, do they have, I'm assuming that the new like Hall of Justice headquarters, which was like under construction and stuff.
Amazing. They just have to get the E on there. We're this close.
Yeah, exactly. That like, that thing is maybe a new addition to their like team. But beforehand, in this story, for example, Mr. Terrific has a lab, and Superman finds Mr. Terrific's lab and starts talking to him as Superman, and that's kind of where they become friends. I wonder if this establishes it like, the Justice Gang has just been these characters for 3 years, and there hasn't really been too much of a mix-up, shake-up. Their costumes have remained exactly the same. I'd love it if Guy Gardner did take off that Lord Tech costume and had a more traditional Green Lantern go out into space outfit. I
could see it happening in Lanterns.
I could. I mean, I also feel like a Justice League International movie that actually deals with Maxwell Lord, played by Sean Gunn, will, and a very different Maxwell Lord than Pedro Pascal's, but like, but I feel like it will deal with the ultimate story arc of that character, which is he's revealed to be a very, very villainous character. He was funding the Justice League in the 80s. In the Justice League International era, and I think James Gunn wants to do that and that's the team that has Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, Blue Beetle, Ted Kord, Booster Gold, Guy Gardner, Big Barda, all these amazing characters that you can branch off and kind of set up more stuff with the DCU. And I wonder if that is all going to happen because of the inspiration and example of Superman. And eventually the Justice League International will just drop the International and just be the Justice League and break off from Maxwell Lord. And then Guy Gardner, Hawk Girl, and Mr. Terrific won't use those costumes anymore, all because of Superman's example. I don't know.
That's one of the things I had as far as the future of Superman. It's my one note. In the movie, Rick Flag says we now live in their world. Yeah. Basically, Guy Gardner shows up, stops the war that everyone's been saying, don't interfere with. Superman said, I'm going to interfere with because people are going to die. Yeah. I love his frustration of just like, why don't you understand? Yeah. Like, I don't want people to die. So Guy Gardner, the biggest asshole, gets his heart of gold, goes and gets in the middle of this thing. So Rick Flag is like, Senior is like, that's it. There's nothing we could do. It's their world now.
We're cooked.
So, here's this Hall of Justice under construction. They have the mural of all the metahumans. I looked for Alan Scott, didn't see him. But it's one of those things where I'm just like, is that what's coming? Are we getting into the Justice League? Will Rick Flag Sr. start building a group of his own metahumans that maybe become the Legion of Doom? Like, that's what I'm wondering about sort of the next step as far as Superman goes.
I don't know if it's going to be Rick, but listen, we've got Lex Luthor in play. James Gunn has said he wants to bring more gorillas to the DCU, and we had a gorilla in Peacemaker. I feel like it's very easy to bring in a Gorilla Grodd.
Right.
We know that Sinestro has been cast, and he's in the Lanterns TV show. And
good casting, too.
I think everybody's theory right now is that Ultraman is going to come back as Bizarro. Yeah. Right? The sort of damaged clone of Superman. That's already like 3 or 4
in the sea of cubes going out into space.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I think that James Gunn, because he talked about even in my interview, he grew up with the Super Friends. I feel like it's too tempting not to do some Legion of Doom version with that lineup because it's such a fun lineup of characters.
I want to see the swamp.
But I don't know if Rick Flag. I mean, the ending of Superman was very interesting because I'm like, well, does this mean that this takes place before Creature Commandos? Right. Because then Rick goes to work with some metahumans, but like all the monsters. And that was back to another theory that I heard where somebody was saying James Gunn was pitching a sort of a Universal Monsters-esque crossover movie or something that he was afraid a studio could steal, being Universal Studios, because they have the rights to all those monsters. Right. The Creature Commandos are mostly riffs on characters in the public domain. Like anybody could easily do that, not just Marvel. And Marvel even has their own Frankenstein and their own, like, if James Gunn announced some sort of supernatural team, Marvel could have fast-tracked, we're putting Werewolf by Night, Man-Thing, Moon Knight, and Ghost Rider, and Blade all on a team, Midnight Suns. Like, they could have done that movie too. Yeah. So, but I don't know if Rick Flag Sr., when you watch Creature Commandos, it feels like he's a character that, like, although definitely morally gray, he's like mostly trying to do things for the betterment of humanity. Kind of like his son, same sort of deal. Like the Flag family is always trying to be good. They're soldiers, they follow orders, but they always have these revelations of like, this is wrong. We shouldn't be doing this. You know, so if it's not Flag, I think it's definitely Luthor putting together the Legion of Doom. And maybe the future version of this storyline. Oh, it'll happen. It'll happen for sure. Yeah. I mean, there's a toy of Lex Luthor in a purple and green battlesuit. And I'm like, I wonder if there was a version of this movie where he put on the Hammer of Borovia's costume and fought Superman, or he has his own, you know, he knows all the moves. 8H, you know, A13, he has all these moves already. Like, I'm sure he has a suit. Anyway, I'm sure it'll happen. We'll see him in a battlesuit, or we'll see him in the purple and green. But
in a swamp, in the Darth Vader helmet.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, at the Hall of Doom or whatever, in the Legion of Doom's headquarters, but maybe you're right that the future of this larger franchise is going to be some sort of Maxwell Lord funded Justice League, but then with the example set by Superman, maybe other prominent characters like John Stewart, Green Lantern, Hawk Girl, if they introduce a Martian Manhunter and then bring in Batman, Wonder Woman, and then a Wally West Flash, that's the animated Justice League lineup right there, dude. Those characters might go, let's wrest this control away from Lord. We're our own thing. Bruce Wayne's going to fund us. We have a orbiting watchtower in the sky.
That's what I want.
You know, I
want the watchtower. I mean, as much as I love the Hall of Justice,
it's great. It's
but so perfect.
We're getting that orbiting. Yeah.
The fact that they shot at the building that was the inspiration of the original Hall of Justice was like,
it's very cool.
It's so good. But I love the watchtower. I'm a massive fan of the watchtower.
Yeah.
I think we've gone over our time.
But have we gone through your whole notes? Anything left, Ralph?
There's nothing really in my notes. I just said, there's something I did see. And what? I don't know if this is true or not. I posted it as a post on my YouTube channel, but I, being the nerd that I am, went and looked in the Lantern's IMDb page and started scrolling through.
Okay, can't trust that. You can't trust it, Ralph.
I know I can't trust it, and I know it's not, anybody can put anything they want on that channel.
Yep.
But I did see that there was, for all 8 episodes, someone credited as a puppeteer.
Awesome.
On the Lantern series. And again, on my post, I said, this may not be true.
But the squirrel that Superman saved will be Chip.
Right. But I basically brought up, like, who would you like to see as a puppet if this were true?
Oh, great. Oh, what was the name of that? What was the name of that Red Lantern cat?
Dexter?
Oh, my God.
Dexter was huge.
Oh,
Dexter
man. That'd be awesome.
Like, a lot of people's list. I was like,
dude,
he's been referenced as a Muppet by Jeff Johns.
Yeah,
I'd love to see Larfleeze. I'd love to see Larfleeze as a puppet.
Larfleeze would be amazing. Do we want a CG Tomar Ray again? Do we want a puppet Tomar Ray? Do we want a guy in a costume? I feel like it's probably going to be a motion capture.
Maybe Salak would be good as a partial like puppet with the forearms and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
Dude, of course I want to see Tomar Ray in any form.
Yeah. Is Salak's the one that was like the sort of librarian or person in the middle of the lanterns?
He's this dude. He's the guy sort of
like sending out the missions to the Green
secretary.
Lantern
He's
Corps?
like kind of the secretary to the Guardians and stuff.
That'd be awesome.
He definitely is. Works in the office on Oa.
Yeah.
I'm fired up for everything that's happening.
Yeah,
with,
dude, Lanterns is
Green Lantern.
coming out next year for you, dude. That is so exciting,
dude. It's like supposed to be early 2000.
Probably gonna be like February or
2026.
March or something.
Yeah, I'm assuming first quarter. I mean, dude, by this time next year, we will already have had Peacemaker, Lanterns, and Supergirl.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
that's
like
plus the Superman and the Creature Commandos to make up the 5 projects of this sort of new universe. It's already a lot.
The fact that it took James Gunn only 2 years to get this movie out, and with like the amount of detail that's in there, with the character, the handling of the characters correctly, everything.
It makes you think. Like, I know he's been directing this one, but like, damn, dude, how far ahead and how far along are all of the scripts for all these other projects? You know, there's been some really amazing writers that have been announced as being involved with these, whether it's Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, or I think it's just going to be called Supergirl Clayface. Like, dude, it makes me curious. I'm like, is there still an Amanda Waller show? Is there still a Blue Beetle like movie, or I think it was going to be an animated thing? Is there a Booster Gold show? How far along is Booster Gold? How's that Swamp Thing script, dude? The James Mangold. I'm like, that's so exciting that they have all that stuff in play. Right.
And it's one of those things too, where it's like, if you were to tell me like 5 years ago, there's an Amanda Waller show, I'd be like, okay,
no, I know,
whatever. But now,
I know
when your Superman movie has like 6 like Metamorpho, all that stuff. Like I'm like, I don't care what the title of the show is.
It's going to be
a Jimmy Olsen show. Great.
It's going to be like
it's going to be everybody.
You know, I think that that's a great point, dude. I feel like comic book media fans, which are not necessarily comic book fans, okay? Because if they were, I know it's a lot to get into, and I'm not trying to be gatekeepery, but I feel like if people were truly, truly really aware of all of this stuff, that they wouldn't scoff at an Amanda Waller show. Even before this like new DCU direction, she is such a great character from the comics. Viola Davis is amazing. Why wouldn't you want that as a TV show? People were saying the same thing about Penguin, and that was a phenomenal show. Like,
so good.
I love the Penguin show more than the Batman movie, you know? So that's...
Yeah, I think it was better.
But even now... It's just because Mick did a better job than Papa Chiquino. No, I'm kidding. It'd be so funny. No, but it's like, but now even like removed from that, the direction of this future DCU is like, it really feels like James Gunn is allowing himself and all of these creatives that he's working with to go, dude, you can do anything you want in the DC universe.
I think,
right? Whereas before he was making the Suicide Squad, and it did feel like, okay, these are the Suicide Squad things you can play with. This is the sandbox. You can say Bloodsport killed Superman. Superman can't be in your movie. Or shot at Superman. Superman cannot be in your movie. You can have the Justice League at the end of Peacemaker, but we can get Ezra Miller, Jason Momoa. That's it. Everybody else is in silhouette. So there's no Batman actor, Superman actor, Wonder Woman actor. There's not even a cyborg silhouette. That sucks, dude. But now, and imagine an Amanda Waller show who she's right in the beating heart of the DC universe, and what kinds of characters we could see in that. Absolutely bring on the Jimmy Olsen show, dude. I'm telling you, that's how we're going to get Darkseid. Jimmy Olsen.
That's so funny, dude. What I love about the movie too is that the pocket dimension, people seem to be hung up on that. Maybe it's a lull in the movie. For me, it's James Gunn saying like, hey guys, This is an invitation to anybody who's working on any future DCU projects. You're allowed to go weird. There's a single shot where you have Crypto.
It's bizarre.
Superdog.
Yep.
You have Baby Joey.
Yep.
Superman. Yep. And the head of Metamorpho
with
in
tendrils.
One shot, going into a black hole.
Yep.
And it's a slow-mo shot, and I'm staring at this thing, and I'm like,
yep,
I've seen this in the comics 100 times.
You're right.
But James Gunn is showing people, normal, regular moviegoers, casual moviegoers,
it is time.
This image, look it, get used to this, because we want to make things weird. You see kaiju in comic books and DC comic books all the time.
All the time.
All the time. This is like the first time we've really seen one in a movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, dude, this is for DC fans.
Absolutely.
This is for DC fans.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be more excited. James Gunn,
glad.
I am all in.
Yeah,
and
me too.
I'm ready to go. Do you have any more thoughts before we take off? And then we'll do some plugs.
Sure. No, I'm just glad that you, the number one Green Lantern fan I know, was really happy with it.
I'm definitely not the number one.
You are the number one Green Lantern fan I know. I don't know Damon Lindelof, Ralph. I don't know Damon. So you're my number one Green Lantern fan that I know.
I need to get that guy on the show. I sent him a. Not that I do this a lot,
sure.
Because I just last week sent you DVDs and a postcard on a Green Lantern postcard. That was not at all to butter you up to get you on the show.
Yeah.
It was just I have these things that you would like. I saw your interview about the 3D Blu-rays, and I'm like, I have some 3D Blueys I'd like someone to enjoy.
Perfect.
And I also sent a documentary, a Blu-ray documentary of Getting Lost, the documentary produced that Damon Lindelof's in.
Yeah.
I also filled out a Green Lantern card, and that one I said, if you ever want to chat Green Lantern,
awesome,
come join me on my show.
Awesome.
And this show, dude, Hector, I want to thank everybody here who's watching now, everyone who subscribed. Hector, a month ago, in the last month, I've gotten close to 3,000 followers in the last month.
Whoa.
This channel has been blowing up.
Dude, you know why?
I'd like to thank James Gunn and Nathan Fillion.
Green Lantern's cool again, dude.
Pierre,
Green Lantern's cool again.
Dude, it's so awesome. I never really wanted to do a Green Lantern show. I was sitting on my couch. And I do live streams for Star Wars and Invincible.
Sure.
And it's one of those things where I was just sitting there and I'm like, Lanterns Live. That's a fun name. Went and checked the domain, went and checked the social handles. It was available anywhere. And I'm like, oh, fuck.
Nobody
I guess
wanted
I have a new show.
Nobody wanted to touch this with a 10-foot pole, but now
Green Lantern's they are
cool again.
And I thank everybody for joining me. You know where you can see me at Lanterns Live everywhere. Hector, where can we find you?
I'm on YouTube at Heroes Reforged and at Dork Souls, which is a fun, nerdy podcast as well. And then you can just follow me on places at Hector is Funny. And Ralph, thank you so much for having me, dude. We should hang out and watch Bolt in 3D. Let's just watch that together. Right, cool. I'm kidding. We're going to watch 2011's Green Lantern in 3D, which I also have a copy of.
I did have a copy. I got it sent out. I'll tell you, okay, just off the top of your head, what's your favorite 3D movie?
It's probably Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Which I haven't seen.
You haven't seen? Oh, my.
Not in 3D. No, I haven't seen it in 3D.
Okay.
No, I love the movies. I haven't seen them in 3D.
The 3D is really special. It's only the first one that they did in 3D. The second one was down to the wire, and they never converted it into 3D, even for theatrical, which is a huge shame because it's a gorgeous movie, the second one. But it might also be, for live action, it might be either...
Wizard of Oz?
The original Wizard of Oz is pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. It looks like a diorama.
Totally. It's very, very cool. And I really love... I don't love Dredd, but I go original Jurassic Park that they converted into 3D. The original Spielberg, the first Jurassic Park movie, it's one of my favorite things to put on because people are so familiar with that movie that when I show them the 3D version, they really notice it. They go, oh! I pause when the raptor's head sticks out of the tarp at the end of the movie because the raptor's head's sticking out of the TV. I'm like, look at how cool that looks. And they're like, oh, shit, we can really tell the difference because we're all so familiar with them. If I throw on a new movie that people have never seen, if it's good 3D, sometimes it goes unnoticed because you just kind of falls.
It's a different experience.
It's a different experience. You just kind of get sucked into the movie and you're like, oh yeah, I'm being I have to be reminded that it's 3D. But when you do Jurassic Park and it's this and people are like, I've never seen it like this. This is crazy. So it's really fun.
Animated Lion King, the original animated Lion King, it's nuts.
That's another diorama one.
Because it's a flat drawing, but the eyes are farther away from the screen than the snout. It's
weird.
It's
really weird. Yeah, I have that.
How did they do that?
Yeah. Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and The Lion King are these three that I have from the Disney Renaissance era. I also like to throw those on to show people because they're a trip. They're really weird. Yeah, it's fun.
It's really weird.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for joining me. I'll be here in 1 week. I'll have two guests, both my co-hosts that cover the Green Lantern comics and the co-host that covers the Green Lantern core comics, Will Smith and Vactor, because next week is Green Lantern issue 25, which is a double issue. Hector, I don't know if you're caught up on.
Absolutely not. No way. How are the comics? Are they good? What's going on right now? It's good.
So Jeremy Adams, who does Green Lantern,
great,
wrote a couple of episodes of Green Lantern the animated series,
Awesome.
Blue Hope and Scarred. And if you're a fan of Green Lantern the animated series,
I love that show.
There are two characters that he brought into the comic canon. And the last issue 24,
Ooh.
issue 24, introduced Aya.
Oh my God. That's
a huge
game changer.
It's still a little bit of a spoiler, but if it gets you to read the book, dude.
Yeah, I'm going to. That's awesome.
Big splash page.
Great.
Aya's reveal as she's piecing herself together.
Great. About damn time, dude.
So next week, Wednesday, there's going to be 3 of us talking about the issue, and maybe we finally get the reunion of Razor and Aya. Just maybe.
Oh, man. That is so cool.
We've been waiting 12 years for it.
That's crazy, dude.
So look forward to that. It'll be live next week, 4:00 Pacific. And then Comic-Con. So I'll probably do some extra special stuff. So thanks again, everybody. Let's get out of here. We've been talking for way too long. So as always, beware my podcast. It's Lanterns Live. Bye.
Marketing is hard. But I'll tell you a little secret. It doesn't have to be. Let me point something out. You're listening to a podcast right now, and it's great. You love the host. You seek it out and download it. You listen to it while driving, working out, cooking, even going to the bathroom. Podcasts are a pretty close companion. And this is a podcast ad. Did I get your attention? You can reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Libsyn Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a pre-produced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience and their favorite podcasts with Libsyn Ads. Go to libsynads.com, that's Libsyn, ads.com today.